Ethics and legal considerations. The Code of Ethics for Nurses refers to ideals, duties, and obligations that nurses are expected to uphold. The International Council of Nurses Code of Ethics is a worldwide code. This will form the basis of national codes of ethics. The International Council of Nurses Code of Ethics addresses 4 elements, including clients, practice of nursing, professional responsibilities, and global health. According to the ICN, the nurse should provide compassionate care and respect. The nurse should recognize that everyone is unique, has worth, and deserves to be treated with dignity. The nurse should be an advocate for rights and needs. The nurse should promote and protect the health and safety of everyone. The nurse should demonstrate authority, accountability, and responsibility for promoting the best practice. The nurse should promote health and provide the best care that they are able to. The nurse should maintain their competence, practice the accepted values of the profession, and promote a healthy and safe practice environment. The nurse should adhere to the ethical standards and principles of the profession. The nurse should promote the profession through research and inquiry. The nurse should participate in development of standards of practice and policies that govern nursing and healthcare. The nurse should collaborate with other members of the interprofessional team to protect rights and decrease disparities. The nurse should promote integrity of their profession. According to the American Nurses Association, nurses are expected to adhere to the values, moral norms, and ideals of the profession and also embrace them as part of what it means to be a nurse. The nurse should become the personal values, help drive their behaviors that are used throughout their life. This is an important part of the self-concept for every nurse. Value clarification is processing of identifying, assessing, and developing own values. Nurses care for those with different values or that conflict with their own values. The nurse needs to know their own values to assist them in making ethical decisions. The Essentials were created by the American Association of Colleges of Nursing. Nursing at all levels share the same core values of altruism, human dignity, integrity, autonomy, and social justice. Altruism is a selfless concern to benefit someone else. Human dignity is that every individual, irregardless of race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, culture, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, that they have values and should be respected and treated equally. Integrity is demonstrating honesty. Autonomy is the right to self-determination. Social justice is the awareness of the right to health and well-being of everyone. Nurses are faced daily with care scenarios that involve some conflict of ethics and values that actually have no right or wrong solution. Ethical dilemmas occur when personal values are different from the values of the client. Some facilities have ethics committees to help address ethical dilemmas. Examples of ethical dilemmas may be stem cell research, late termination of pregnancy, refusal or termination of care or treatment, anyone that has experienced abuse, medically assisted death or suicide, allocation of scarce resources. The Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, or EMTLA, was enacted to direct emergency medical personnel to provide equal care to everyone entering the emergency department, no matter their insurance or financial status. The Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, or HIPAA, is a federal law. This protects an individual's identifying private information and personal health information. The only individuals that should have access to personal health information is the client and the healthcare workers that are involved within the client's care. Social media may be used in positive ways, professional networking, to share information, or seeking support. But posting client information on social media is irresponsible and can result in severe consequences. Reprimand from the State Board of Nursing can be a penalty, either civil or criminal, and more likely than not, it would be a termination of employment. Nurses are obligated to adhere to their standard of nursing practice, which is governed by law. Criminal law, this is where the prosecutor has the burden of proof to show the nurse has violated a criminal standard beyond a reasonable doubt. Criminal law is used by the public to punish defendants and deter future crime. Civil law is a dispute between individuals or an individual and an organization. In civil law, the victim can be awarded compensation. A tort is carrying out an act or failing to act against what is considered reasonable and acceptable. This will result in an injury or harm to a client. A tort exists to protect the public, determine liability, and settle claims for illness or damages. There are unintentional torts and intentional torts. An unintentional tort is when the nurse does not intend to cause harm, yet harm occurs. This may be considered as malpractice or negligence. Malpractice is where the nurse fails to meet the standard of care. Negligence occurs when the nurse is found to have breached their care of duty, resulting in client injury or suffering. For informed consent, permission to provide care is given by the client after relevant information is provided so they can make an informed decision. The consent must be given by the client or the proxy voluntarily without coercion. The consent is an exchange of information between the client and the provider. The provider that is performing the procedure or treatment is legally responsible for obtaining informed consent. The nurse's role with informed consent is to verify and witness that the client signs the consent form in their presence. The nurse should verify that the client has adequate knowledge to make the treatment decision. With implied consent, the client is not required to express their permission for care, intervention, either verbally or in writing. It is implied by circumstances or actions that are surrounding the medical or nursing action, and the client isn't required to verbally state that they give consent. The nurse must inform the client about any actions or interventions planned, or the nurse will be considered to have committed battery. Advance directives are legal documents. These are the client's decisions related to their health care, and they are documented. The federal law requires institutions of healthcare to provide the forms necessary for the client to complete an advance directive. There are two types of advance directives: a living will and a durable power of attorney. The living will is a document that states the life-sustaining treatment that the client wishes to have performed if they become incapacitated and unable to make decisions. The durable power of attorney for healthcare is a document that appoints a healthcare proxy or someone to make decisions on the client's behalf if they are unable to speak for themselves. The nurse's role in advance directives is to encourage clients to have frequent and ongoing discussions with the care provider and proxy related to their desired decisions. Nurses work in stressful environments that contribute errors or unusual occurrences known as incidents. These may include medication administration errors, missed prescriptions, any equipment failures, client falls, near misses, and sentinel events. A near miss is an incident that happens to the client that does not cause harm or injury. The actual incident is discovering an error or an injury after an administered medication may cause harm. A sentinel event is an incident that results in either permanent disability, temporary severe injury, or death. In any type of event, the nurse needs to write an incident report. This will permit the institution to understand what has happened and how to prevent any further incidents moving forward. The right task is the task being delegated. It needs to be within the job description of the individual that you're delegating to. The right circumstance. Make sure as a nurse that the client's condition is stable. Right person. That the individual that you are asking to do the job has the ability and the knowledge to perform the task. Right direction and communication. The nurse is to communicate exact instructions to the individual that is providing the care, and these should be restated by the individual accepting the task. The right supervision and evaluation. The nurse is responsible for monitoring and ensuring that the task is completed appropriately, and the nurse must evaluate the client's outcome and ensure appropriate documentation is completed. The American Nurses Association's standards of practice are authoritative statements of the competent level of nursing care expected to be performed. The standards of professional nursing practice focus on two categories: the standards of practice and the standards of professional performance. The standards of practice actually provide a narrative of competent nursing care that utilizes the nursing process. The standards of professional performance. This is a description of the competent behavior that is to be exhibited by the individual. This encompasses things like ethics, cultural sensitive practice, therapeutic communication, collaboration, leadership, maintaining quality nursing practice, effective practice within a safe environment. Nurses are ethically and legally bound by HIPAA to maintain confidentiality and privacy of the client. The falsification of health records. The nurse needs to and is expected to document accurate and truthful information. This objective data serves multiple purposes. It is a method of communication. It is to be used to improve the continuity of healthcare. It is a legal record of the client's medical care and information. Nursing fatigue. This is the physical and psychological exhaustion that can cause unsafe and incompetent nursing care. Things that may cause nursing fatigue would include working long shifts and increased client loads. Nursing fatigue has negative implications for everyone, and it impacts work performance and safety.